At long last, after 6 games on the NES, it was finally time for Mega Man to make the jump to the 16-bit generation. While those NES games are remembered fondly, it did become increasingly clear that the series needed to move on in order to grow. In 1993, Mega Man did see a successor in the form of Mega Man X, but in 1995, it was the classic Blue Bomber's turn. It wasn't all fun and games though. Mega Man 7 was developed under an incredibly tight deadline. According to the developers, they only had 3 months to make the game. Now yes, Mega Man 2 was also made in a 3-month period, however that was an 8-bit game that could also be built on top of the first one. The SNES was a bit more complex than its non-super predecessor, which meant games needed more time to cook. This, of course, meant an intense crunch period, with the developers working on the game every single day for those 3 months, and what resulted could genuinely be considered a miracle. Mega Man 7 released in 1995 in Japan and September later that year in America, and in spite of the game's difficult development, it was received positively and is remembered to this day as a rock-solid Mega Man title. According to Keiji Inafune, even though making the game was rough, everyone had the shared goal of giving it their all and releasing a product that they could be proud of. By this point, Mega Man had become a yearly franchise. Hell, later in '95, Mega Man X3 would release, and this would continue all the way up until 2010, and what's surprising to me, with the classic series at least, is they never let this get in the way of quality. Well, this is the first classic Mega Man game on the Super Nintendo, which of course means bigger, better, and more things to do, and I, for one, am interested to see how they handled this transition. So let's not waste any more time and tear into why Mega Man 7 was a miracle game. The story follows up on the ending of Mega Man 6. In that game, Mega Man apprehended Dr. Wily and had him thrown in jail for his crimes. However, Wily always knew that his plans could one day end in failure. He had 4 special robot masters made with the purpose of awakening after 6 months of no contact from Dr. Willy and seek out their creator. We open the game with Mega Man and Roll riding into the city with newcomer Otto, who provides Mega Man with his brand new helmet. No, that wouldn't work. Mega Man equips his more iconic helmet and heads off to find Dr. Light as they watch Willy bust out of prison, and thank God they kept the eyebrow wiggle. What follows is a short intro stage, which was no doubt a cue taken from Mega Man X. It's a low-threat environment to get your bearings on the game and its controls, and I really appreciate that. You even fight this Road Roller boss, which isn't too difficult to deal with. At the end of the stage, we encounter a new character, Bass, and his robot dog companion, Treble. Bass claims that he and Treble were confronting Willy, and then proceeds to call Mega Man a weak bitch baby before warping away. With the intro stage done, there really are only 4 Robot Masters this go around. I mean, I don't buy it for a second, it's just odd that they limit you to just 4 to start out with. I suppose this does allow for a more curated difficulty curve as opposed to the NES games. The first 4 levels can be on the easy side, with the latter 4 being a step up, and honestly, that makes a lot of sense to me. I opted for Freeze Man to tackle first, not only to get the ice level out of the way, but because Google told me to. Of course, this being an ice level means you can expect to slip and slide around a lot, although the level design felt forgiving. Even the enemies weren't too much to deal with, save for these polar bears, but that's just because they have a crap ton of HP. Seriously, these guys ate multiple charge shots. It was ridiculous. The game starts you off with Rush Coil, returning after being absent in Mega Man 6. It functions like it did before, although I feel like it doesn't launch Mega Man as high as it used to. What's great though is that we can immediately put it to good use in this stage to get the H-plate. Similar to Mega Man 5 and 6, there are these plates that you can find in the levels, but it's more like Mega Man 5 in that they're actually in the fucking levels and not just given to you at the weapon get screen for taking an alternate exit. Unlike the previous games though, these don't unlock Beat the Bird. Instead, they unlock the Super Adapter for Rush. You remember the Rush adapters in Mega Man 6? Well, basically, the Super Adapter is the 2 of them smushed together, making one of the best abilities in the game. It's really fantastic since you don't have to pause the game to swap adapters like in 6, so it doesn't break the pace at all. That's not the only thing that we can find in Freeze Man stage, as with some well-executed platforming, we can get the Rush Shirts ability, which allows Rush to dig up items for you, which can range from health or item pickups to bolts, more on those in a minute, and upgrades like the exit item. Yeah, they made the ability to exit a level an item. I'm not sure how to feel about that. Freeze Man is pretty hard, and I'm sure it's because I didn't have any special weapons to deal with him at this point. He loves to do things non-stop, but if you take the time to analyze his movements, he does have a pretty predictable attack pattern. He'll alternate between freezing the ceiling, which will form these icicles that can fall down and impale Mega Man, freezing the ground, which will lock you in place until you get hit, or he can turn Mega Man into a popsicle.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
After squeezing enough lemons into his eyes, we get the Freeze Cracker, which is a pretty good special weapon. It fires out this large-ass snowflake that not only can be fired in multiple directions, but also shatters into 6 smaller shards when it collides with a wall. Alright, so in the levels, Mega Man can also find these bolts placed down or dropped by enemies, and these... wait, what are these for, actually? They're for Auto Shop. Ah! Oh. Kiki, you startled me. Good. What shop, though? I don't see anything for a shop. Press the select button. Well, that's good to know, but how are players supposed to know that there is a shop? There's nothing on the level select screen to tell you to press select. Oh, it's in the manual. Of course. This is a great addition, though. You can use those bolts to buy various items from Auto, like E-Tanks, extra lives, or upgrades should you not be able to find them in the levels. This all may seem costly, but with good use of the Rush Search ability, you can find those giant bolts that are worth a ton. You can also get this special S-Tank, which acts like the M-Tank in Mega Man 5, but with the added side effect of not making your ears bleed when consumed. Burst Man is up next, and his main stage gimmick at the start is these explosive platforms that count down when you trigger them. But soon after, Mega Man falls into this pool of what I hope isn't piss. It's yellow though, so... oh no, this feels disgusting. You also have to fight this level's mini-boss underwater, just be sure not to jump into the spikes. Soon though, the liquid turns purple, which causes Mega Man to begin floating to the surface. You can also find the R plate towards the end of the level in this section with this rising purple liquid, which was actually kind of fun to do in all honesty. But not long after that, we come face to face with Burst Man. His room is lined with spikes at the top, and it just so happens that a lot of his attacks will try to send you into those spikes, like these bubbles with bombs inside them, these bouncy piss bubbles, these bubbles that come out of the floor. Dude really loves his bubbles, huh? Fortunately, the Freeze Cracker puts him down fast. In fact, it actually makes him reset his attack pattern if he's hit with it. That's something, but he's still a challenge regardless. After calmly explaining to Burst Man why his sudden outbursts are bad for him and everyone else around him, and then promptly freezing him to death, we get the Danger Wrap, which will release this bomb encapsulated inside this bubble that can trap enemies inside of it and blow them away when the bomb goes off. It's great for taking care of certain aerial enemies that Mega Man can't normally reach. Cloudman stage is just straight up Airman stage from Mega Man 2. I mean, seriously, look at the two side by side. At the very least, Cloudman's level looks fantastic. It also has this weather gimmick where it'll rain, which can make certain parts of the stage invisible, or you can get it to snow, which will have the opposite effect. You pretty much need the Freeze Crasher if you want to get the U-plate in this stage, and it's not immediately obvious where the thing is, too. You can also find Proto Man here. His role in this game is to pretty much give the player hints for various hidden items throughout the game, which is pretty nice. Now, if only they had a graphic on the level select telling you to press the select button for the shop. Cloudman will fly high up in the boss room and attempt to send down the might of Zeus to electrocute Mega Man. Unfortunately for him, he's weak to the Danger Wrap and oh my god. He can't get a chance to get an attack in. My god, this is something. I don't want to say it's pathetic, but how else would I describe this? Well, after parting Cloudman with Bubble Bombs, we acquire his Thunderbolt, which is pretty similar to the Elect Beam in Mega Man 1. It doesn't fire in 3 directions, but if it collides with an enemy, it'll split into 2, traveling up and down. It also goes through walls, which makes this one of the best weapons in the game to me. Well, we have 3 of the 4 Robot Masters taken care of, so now let's move on to Junkman, and dang, with a name like that, I wonder if he can throw that junk in his trunk back. Honestly, this is probably the most interesting stage thus far. These cockroach robots can be annoying, but they tend to drop some pretty good items. Towards the end are these junk pits, which are home to these junk worm things that honestly remind me of the trash compactor monster from Star Wars. Even the little scope that comes out and checks things out, it's the little things. What's so cool about this stage is the interactivity it has with these special weapons. Like with the Thunderbolt, you can activate these elevators which allow you to get the Rush Jet ability, which...
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Not to mention, by freezing this lava fall, it opens up an alternate path that lets you nab the S plate, the final plate needed to unlock the super adapter, and god, poor Rush Jet though, it was once the best ability in Mega Man, well really only in Mega Man 3, but hey Rush, you know, it's okay. You got a new, better purpose now.
Get in my belly!
So Junkman has the same stun lock issue as Cloudman. That's kind of upsetting actually. You know, in past games, hitting the Robot Master with their weakness just dealt more damage, not completely cripple them. All you need to do is just hit him with the Thunderbolt, dodge him when he jumps, and then hit him again, wash, rinse, repeat, dead. Once Junkman is turned into rubble, we obtain the Junk Shield. Oh fuck yeah, now Mega Man can throw it back! The Junk Shield will summon rubble that orbits around Mega Man and can be thrown in random directions across the screen. But when you use it as a shield, it's actually really good. It doesn't fall apart fast due to the amount of junk it summons, it has a decent amount of weapon energy, and it desaturates Mega Man's palette. Soon after the 4 Robot Masters are put out of commission, Dr. Willy attacks the Robot Museum? The hell is a Robot Museum? What the fuck are these fuckers doing on display? You were just asking, no, begging for someone to— Yep, there goes Dr. Willy making off with Gutsman. Willy sends this jester-looking robot to deal with us, and while its body can't take damage, its head does, and you just need to knock its head off its body and zap it. When we return to Dr. Light's lab, it's revealed that Willy has sent out 4 more Robot Masters to cause havoc, and now it's looking more like the NES games. It's here where the game's difficulty really starts to pick up, and let's start off with Slashman, who lives in Jurassic Park. Straight up, you cannot convince me otherwise. With all of the robot dinosaurs around the place, the fencing in the background, you could straight up play the Jurassic Park theme throughout this whole level, and it honestly would not feel out of place. Holy fucking shit, it's a dinosaur. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? The start to this level is actually pretty strict, as you have to hop across this waterfall along these falling logs, and you need to be quick with this shit because if you aren't, you ain't making it to the other side. The T-Rex chase midway through the level honestly reminds me of the Mecha Dragon fight from the second game, except with less sprite flickering, and you're not over a constant bottomless pit the whole time. Also, minus whatever the fuck this shit was. Slashman must have done some lines before the fight because Christ, he will not stop. He'll jump around the room and slash Mega Man when he's close, as well as jump up onto the walls, which will cause this icky paint-like goop to drop down, which will glue Mega Man in place, and if that happens, you're pretty much guaranteed to get hit from Slashman. The Freeze Cracker at least deals a good amount of damage to him, it's just a matter of playing it defensively. For sending Slashman back to the Ice Age, we get his Slash Claw, which is a pretty good close-range weapon. I got some good use out of it because it actually has a pretty sizable hitbox, and it is great for taking care of some enemies, like those bat robots. You know, these things have been here since Mega Man 2. I should actually probably learn what they're called. Baton M48. Up next is Springman, and the springs in his stage aren't as aggressive as the ones back in Mega Man 6. Not to mention, you have to hold the jump button in order to go higher on them. The music here is pretty nice though, it feels very bouncy. The latter part of the stage has these giant red boxes with spring-loaded fists that come out of them, and you have to get this one to destroy this wall in order to find the Hyperbolt, which halves the prices of items in Auto Shop and adds new items to boot. I want to take a moment to mention the sprites, since we are on the SNES now. One thing that always bothered me when watching other people play this game is how big the sprites felt compared to the NES games. Like, Mega Man is a lot bigger, and as a result, takes up much more space on the screen. But actually playing it, it stops being an issue because the game is built around the more larger, detailed sprites, and I'm glad for it because this is one of the most colorful SNES games I've seen. Seriously, good job Mega Man 7 devs. You made a damn good looking Mega Man game. Springman, oh god damn it, again? He jumps up, he throws 2 punches, which you slide under to dodge. When he comes down, you hit him with the Slash Claw. Do this 7 times, and he's gone. You know, when I decide to play this game again in the future, I might do it without the weaknesses, because fucking Christ! Upon Springman being unraveled, Mega Man gains the Wild Coil, which is interesting. You can charge up the weapon, and the springs it'll launch will go up higher and deal more damage. Not to mention, you can get them to go even higher by holding up on the D-pad. I didn't get too much use out of it, but I do see its merits. Alright, so next is— oh, are you doing Shade Man next? Well, yeah, he's next on the weakness chain. Hold down the jump button when you select him. It's a reference to Ghosts and Goblins. Isn't that so cool, CeeCee? See? Shademan Stage is a level that exists and is not a reference to a fucking nightmare of a game. The mini-boss in this level sucks. Depending on how you kill it, it'll open up a different path through the level, which is neat, but truth be told, I had to refer to a guide to figure that part out. This tower segment felt like it went on for a little too long. Basically, these zombie robots will jump into the tower and on the platform that Mega Man is on. Soon after, we find Treble and Bass. Bass! Language! Bass took a pretty bad beating here, with Mega Man offering him the aid of Dr. Light, which Bass accepts and warps away to Light's lab. Shademan will take to the top of the room and hover back and forth until he swoops down to drain Mega Man of his health with a good suck. The Wild Coil can knock him down if you manage to hit him with it, which isn't the easiest thing to do. It is a fun fight though, I want to stress. I feel like it's mostly because I played it safe, waiting for a good opening to hit him. It makes me wish that the rest of the bosses were like this instead of, bashing their knees in with a baseball bat and then just, For exposing Shademan to sunlight, we get the Noise Crush, which is a very unique weapon. You fire off this sound wave that travels forward, but if it hits a wall, it'll then bounce back, and if it comes in contact with Mega Man, the next shot will be larger and deal more damage. It's a cool concept for a weapon, and I dig it. Finally, we reach Turbo Man, and his stage starts off with a truck chase. Wait a minute, this feels familiar. The inside of the level is filled with tires, and these ones moving along the top that bounce Mega Man all around are kind of annoying to deal with the tight platforming, especially because there's spikes lining the bottom of certain sections. You can find the Hyper Rocket Buster upgrade for the Super Adapter, which gives the Rocket Buster homing qualities, which is actually pretty nice. Proto Man can also be found here. Have you collected the RUSH circuit plates yet? No. Turbo Man, as it turns out, is a Transformer! So he suffers from the same stunlock issue that most of the other Robot Masters suffer from. You just hit him with the Noise Crush, jump over him as he tries to run Mega Man down, and then hit him again. For causing Turbo Man to burn out, we acquire the Scorch Wheel. 3 fireballs surround Mega Man and spin around him. You can hold the wheel on Mega Man by holding the attack button, and then letting it go will cause it to roll along the ground. I suppose it's good for taking care of the low to the ground enemies, like those cockroaches in Junkman stage. When we return to Light's lab, we see that the place has been completely wrecked. Wait a minute, I was just here talking to Light about the Scorch Wheel. How the fuck did this happen in the span of 2 seconds? So it turns out that Bass went on a rampage, as it's revealed that Bass is actually a creation of Dr. Willy. Bass also made off with the plans for the Super Adapter, so Mega Man heads out to confront Bass and Dr. Willy. Before that though, we got a lot of cleanup to do. Back in Shademan stage, only now with 100% less trauma, you can not only find Proto Man and challenge him to a fight for his Proto Shield, but you can also find the Energy Balancer. This was in Mega Man 6, but I never mentioned it there. It basically takes weapon energy drops and distributes them to all of your weapons, even if they aren't equipped. Returning to Jurassic Park, towards the end of the level, you can use the Scorch Wheel on these trees, specifically the leaves, to uncover a ladder that will take us to find Beat, who functions differently than he did in previous games. Instead of being the weapon to surpass Metal Gear, he just saves Mega Man if he falls into a pit, but only 4 times before you need to go and visit Otto to buy more uses of Beat. Alright, we got everything we could possibly need. Stocked up on E-Tanks, W-Tanks, got me that special S-Tank too. Let's tackle Dr. Willy in his 7th Willy Castle. Willy Castle 1 starts off with this bitch of a platforming section, since not only are you for the most part in the dark, but when these platforms cross these exposed wires, I think that's what they're supposed to be anyway, they spin, which means you can't stand on them. Soon after, we encounter Bass and have a one-on-one with him, which goes rather fast thanks to the power of friendship, or whatever the hell you call fusing with your dog to be. Not long after Bass is defeated, we encounter Gutsman G, who is a lot more powerful than he was back in Mega Man 1. He's weak to the Slash Claw, and my best advice is just to play it safe, since he can just straight up grab Mega Man and chuck his ass into the ceiling. Willy Castle 2... what? We're back at the stage select. So, for some odd reason, unlike in past games, the Willy Castle is treated as separate stages and not as a gauntlet like how it's been since Mega Man 2. I think this was done to give the player the opportunity to visit the shop in between Willy stages. I'm not complaining though, I'm just perplexed. Alright, so Willy Castle 2 has a turtle motif throughout it, and it is littered with Sniper Joe, so just like a turtle, slow and steady wins the race. Not long into the stage though, we encounter Bass yet again, but now he and Treble make use of the Super Adapter to fuse into Super Bass. Bass will circle around the room and fire his Rocket Buster, as well as fire multiple shots of his regular Buster. If you have the Hyper Rocket Buster upgrade, then truth be told, he goes down rather fast as long as you avoid getting hit. The second half of the stage sees Mega Man needing to deal with these fire jets from Turbo Man's level, and the timing on these things can be pretty fucking tight, especially these ones towards the end that guard a health and weapon refill. The boss of this stage is this turtle called Gammarizer, and honestly, once you've got its attack pattern down, it's pretty easy to deal with. First off, it's weak to the Wild Coil. Second off, don't get hit by its fire attack, because it will constantly burn Mega Man. And thirdly, dodging its attacks is as simple as just having to jump over the fire and slide under it when it tries to ram you into a wall. Willy Castle 3 is a level so nice, I played it twice, and definitely not because I forgot to hit record on OBS. Something that's cool with this stage is that it actually contains an optional underwater route that leads to a rematch with the mini-boss from Burstman's stage, albeit you shouldn't have trouble with it here, especially if you have the Super Adapter. Also, I need to ask, but does the music in this stage remind anyone else of Queen's Palace from Deltarune Chapter 2? Hanya NED Squared, that's a fucking name, also has a pretty simple and easy to understand attack pattern. It'll move forward constantly, so you need to stay ahead of it and dodge its missiles that it launches, which you can actually use as platforms to hit its weak point, which is its eyes. It'll also try to sweep at Mega Man with its laser attack as well as fire out bombs, giving this bitch a good bop with the Noise Crush or the Slash Claw if you're really feeling brave, will be enough to take it out. Also, somehow Rush Jet, and I don't know how Rush Jet, but according to the wiki, Rush Jet. Wily Castle 4 provides you the opportunity to collect some bolts, a W tank, or an extra life, as we then head to the typical boss rematches, which means it's my time to give my overall thoughts on this game's special weapon selection. Honestly, these are for the most part pretty great. Thunderbolt is just the elect beam, Freeze Cracker has good coverage, Junk Shield is probably my favorite shield weapon thus far. Truth be told, I like a lot of these, as they all have good applications and tend not to tread on each other's territory. I'll give Mega Man 7 special weapon selection 8 tingles out of 10. Good job, Willy. Finally, we come face to face with Dr. Willy in his brand new Willy Machine 7. He'll hop from one side to the other, with Mega Man needing to slide under him at the right moment in order to not get clipped by the spikes under the skull's chin. That's not all though, as another attack it can do is slowly walk towards you and launch these tiny versions of the mech out that will follow Mega Man. After zapping him in the face enough times, the machine explodes and reveals Willy Capsule 7, and Jesus fuck, as if this thing wasn't already annoying enough to deal with in Smash Bros. Its attacks are hard as fuck to dodge due to how they move, and they hit hard. The balls of energy that shoot out will either just deal damage, or set Mega Man on fire, or just freeze you in place. This is notorious for being the most difficult Willy Capsule in the series, and for good reason. It doesn't help that the Wild Coil is its weakness, which means it can be tricky to hit him at all. Thank God I had 4 E-Tanks plus that special S-Tank, as with them I was fortunately able to make it through the fight and beat Willy yet again. Alright, Mega Man, I was thinking about putting a collar on him this time and dragging his ass back to jail by the neck, or you can just kill him, yeah, you know, that works too. Mega Man actually threatens to kill Willy. I guess it only took 7 games for Mega Man to reach his breaking point. Willy reminds Mega Man of the laws of robotics, which state that robots cannot harm humans, to which Mega Man exclaims that he is more than a robot and tells Willy to die. That last part is only in the English translation though, as in the original Japanese version, Mega Man just freezes up because Willy is right. I never really thought about it, but yeah, Mega Man can't finish off Willy, as yes, the Robot Masters are very complex, but they're not capable of independent thought and thus are bound by the laws of robotics, something that I imagine one day, thanks to Dr. Light, might end up changing. For now, though, the castle begins to crumble with Bass showing up and saving Willy as Mega Man has the most metal as fuck, badass walk cycle animation as he leaves the burning Willy castle behind, ending Rock Day 7. So I didn't expect this game to be this good, mainly because whenever people talk about classic Mega Man, it's usually the NES games with everything else that came afterwards typically falling to the wayside, but also due to the short dev period that this game had. Honestly, this is better than some of those NES games, and for good reason, outside of just the obvious graphical improvements. The amount of items and upgrades hidden in the stages really encourages you to think about where stuff could be hidden. The interactivity of stages with these special weapons and how they can alter the stages honestly reminds me a bit of Mega Man X, with how clearing certain stages affected others. Come to think of it, I imagine X had a lot of influence when making this game, and I think that was for the better. Well, we are already moving on from the Super Nintendo, as Mega Man's next title would jump ship to the 32-bit PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Next time, we will take on Mega Man 8 and its many hilarious cutscenes. Subscribe to the channel if that sounds interesting to you, and leave a like and a comment should you choose. And with all of that said, have a great day or night. Peace.